Hi, Chloe. Hi, Edie. How are you guys? Hi, Louisa. Hi, Jen. Hello. Hello. Happy Easter, everyone. Hope you've all massively overindulged. I know we definitely have here. Hi, Chris. Hi, Emma. Aha. Right, before I let Nat in, just give me 1 minute, Nat. I just wanted to explain. Of course, it's Bowel Cancer Awareness Month. Now, I think, obviously, that there shouldn't necessarily be a month dedicated just to one particular cancer, and that we should always be body aware and everything. But this is how the industry rolls, I guess. So April is Bowel Cancer Awareness Month, and Nat, aka Mission to Remission, is quite an incredible. She's got an incredible story, and I'm really, really excited to hear more about that. Oh, now how do I do this? Because I've got other people wanting to join, and I just need to find. Let's see how I do that. Hang on. If anybody's requested to go live with me, can they just request so that I... how do I do that? Nat, could you just do it again? Could you request it again, honey? Hi, Dr. Philippa. Nice to see you on here. Oh, I wonder if I can request. That could be fun. Turn off request, go live. No. It's not letting you. Go, if you, Nat, if you log out, like go out of the chat and come back in again and do it. If you don't mind. Hi, Marie. Hi, Grace. Aw, so nice to see you guys. Hi, Sasha. I'm actually quite excited because so bowel cancer. I'm working on a really good bowel cancer campaign for the ITV Lorraine show as well. So we're launching that in a couple of weeks. So you guys will have to watch out for it. It's really fun what we're doing. Still no. How do I? If anybody is on here and knows why I'm having an issue, do shout. Oh, here we go. Right.
Request to you, Nat. So you should. Sorry, I don't know what I was doing. I think I've got like a massive chocolate hangover and making all the wrong choices on my buttons there. Sorry, guys.
It was probably me. I'm like allergic to technology.
I just don't know what I was doing wrong, and then there were other people trying to get in, and then anyway, so lovely to talk to you. Guys, is this really annoying that there are names going over Nat's face? Because I can turn that off if it's better, if people find it distracting. I never know what's the best thing to do there. Let's see what people say, because I can always switch it off. Hi guys, hi Anisha. So, it's Bowel Cancer Awareness Month.
It is.
What does that even mean? Does it mean that that's the only time that we should be talking about it? No, we should be talking about it all year round, of course.
Yeah. I'm kind of with you. I heard your intro, and like it shouldn't really be a thing that we have these months. I'm kind of the same as you with that, but what is good is that it does shine a spotlight, and it does, I mean, it's everywhere on my feed. Bowel cancer awareness. Yeah. And for me, I just think it probably isn't for everyone, but anything that shines a light, and also that changes people's perception, because I'm seeing lots of really young people with bowel cancer, and this is what we want to get talking about.
Yeah.
So,
and I don't know if it's because I am now very much in the sort of cancer community world that I'm seeing it more, Or is there a definite shift in people talking about bowel cancer more? I feel like it is, but I don't know if it's just because I'm immersing myself in it more. What do you think? Do
So
you think?
I think, yeah, because so I got diagnosed in 2019, and it's kind of hard to judge because, like you say, you're immersed in it. So when you're sort of in that world, you kind of see more of it anyway. But I feel like even since 2019, the beginning of when I was first diagnosed, I definitely feel like there's more conversation opening up around it,
Yeah, yeah,
big time. And also, for me, like conversation around things obviously that people don't like talking about, like their
yeah,
bums and their poo.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So let's rewind back then, if you don't mind, and check. So how old were you in 2019?
So 2019, I was 36. I was 36 when I was diagnosed in
And what were the
February.
symptoms?
So it was kind of a long thing for me. So about a year of, at first, mild symptoms. So I was probably about a year before I started to have like, I guess when I ate, I became like bloated, uncomfortable, nothing to really like write home about. I just thought it was, as the doctors would like normally say to someone young, might be a bit of stress,
Yeah,
anxiety, IBS,
IBS.
that old
Yeah,
chestnut.
yeah, 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 yeah.
So I didn't really think anything of it. I carried on and I started then when I went back, they said, why don't you take a food group out each time? So maybe try
Right.
wheat, dairy.
Yeah.
So I was doing that sort of for a few weeks at a time. And actually, I found that taking out wheat really did help. So I thought,
Oh,
oh, great. So it's a wheat intolerance. So that worked. It eased the symptoms for a little while. And then I would say about 6 months before diagnosis, I became very, very tired all the time and
mm.
started to lose a lot of weight. And I'm quite a small person anyway. The weight was kind of dropping off me. And at first I was thinking, well, this
Oh,
is good.
winning. Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
then
yeah.
after a while, I started to worry and I thought, there's something not right. Like, I'm 36. I shouldn't be this tired all the time.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm losing weight.
And how tired is tired? Like, what did that mean? Did you wake up tired? Did you want to go to bed at 5 o'clock in the evening, or were you wanting to sleep during the day, or
Yeah,
like
I was
what?
kind of napping a lot, but I would wake up after a night's sleep feeling like I could go back to sleep. And it was like,
Right.
it's like that feeling, when you're tired and you lack enthusiasm to do anything. Like it kind
Yeah.
of makes
Like when
your,
you get jet lag,
yeah, and it
that
makes
kind
your
of like
mood
heavy.
low.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was kind of, it got to the point where I knew something was wrong. Like never crossed my mind that it was cancer, but I thought I shouldn't be this tired all the time. And like just no energy, like someone had drained the energy out of me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
And
I,
presumably you don't have this in the family at all. So there were no warning signs in terms of relatives, like your parents having it or anything like that.
no, well, my mum is a breast cancer survivor, actually. So
Oh,
she,
wow.
I'm aware of that. Different, you obviously feel a lump,
Yeah.
perhaps. So I'm always really aware of things like that because I've going through it with my mum.
Yeah.
But with the bowel cancer symptoms, I just wasn't aware that it was that these were symptoms of bowel cancer. And the thing as well, I could explain a lot of it. So I was
Yeah.
working two jobs trying to, and I was really tired. So I thought, well, obviously I'm, trying to juggle two
Yeah.
jobs. There
Yeah.
was always things that were explained. And obviously with your bowels, it's until it gets too big, you can't really like feel for a lump.
No.
The
No.
symptoms progress quite a lot before
Mm.
you actually start to think, hang on a minute, there's
Yeah.
something wrong here. About 3 months before, I started to get very, very poorly. I couldn't go to the toilet. It would either be like extreme diarrhea or I couldn't go at all. And that kind of went on to the point,
Mm.
to the fact where I was like spending 4 hours at a time in the bathroom trying to go to the toilet.
Wow.
Chris
Wow.
had My partner had to come and sit in with me, bless him, because I kept
Oh.
passing out of the toilet with pain. So
What, like abdominal pain?
yeah, and all in my bottom, and just
Oh
it
no.
wouldn't.
Yeah.
I couldn't physically go to the toilet. So I started to get back pain, really bad back pain, almost like sciatic pain,
Yeah.
which did turn out to be the tumors growing into my spinal nerves. At the time,
Wow.
I didn't know that, obviously. Anyway, when I got to that point, I went to the doctor, and he mentioned like IBD, so Crohn's disease,
Yeah.
ulcerative colitis, and he did an internal examination into my bottom, which I mean, he could barely
Could
could
barely.
barely get in there.
Right. Oh
It was
God.
I was in so much pain by this point. And he said, look, I'm kind of not happy with your symptoms. I'm going to put you on a 2-week cancer referral, but you haven't got cancer, you're too young. So please don't go away from here worrying. And I didn't. I thought, I've got Crohn's, I've got ulcerative colitis, which obviously isn't ideal, but cancer just
And
didn't cross my mind.
you were ticking all the symptoms for that as well, weren't you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. So, yeah, it was a really long process, but I have to say, it sounds like I don't want to say I was let down by my GP, because actually in the beginning it wasn't extreme and I
Right.
could answer it. And I do think that, things are changing with regards to, I personally don't believe that any doctor or anyone in the medical profession should say to someone, you're too young to have cancer. It just shouldn't be allowed. It shouldn't be a thing, whether it's bowel cancer or any cancer. But I'm not going to sit here and, blame my GP for letting me down. It is what it is, what it is. It happened. And as a woman in my 30s, I also was convinced that it was something else. They were the symptoms of other things
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah. 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 So you had the 2-week referral, and did they give you a colonoscopy then?
Yeah.
So you had your colonoscopy, and they can tell very quickly when they do a colonoscopy, can't they?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I basically came face to face with my cancer on
On the
the
screen.
monitor. Yeah, so I obviously didn't know what I was looking at, but the tone of the room changed quite a lot. So
Right.
the guy doing my colonoscopy was like a little bit short with me. He was like, I don't know why you're in so much pain. It's not normally this painful for people. And I just was in so much pain. And then as he sort of went up, my cancer was very low down. So it's in my rectum, right down outside of the bowel, all around like my rectum and anus. So yeah, I kind of knew something was wrong because the tone of the room changed, and they sent me straight for a CT scan afterwards. So I was like,
What, that same day?
yeah. So
Wow.
yeah, so I don't think he didn't.
And did you sense it then at that point? Did you think this is something else?
I did, because suddenly a few people came into the room. There was like a counselor kind of guy that was saying, do you understand what we might be saying to you? We found something that we don't like the look of. We can't confirm it's cancer till we've got the biopsy results. But
Right.
so yeah, they were very upfront with me, which was actually I appreciated, because I rather know. I don't want,
absolutely. And were you there on your own at this point, or had Chris come with you?
So my mum and Chris were in the waiting room, and I was in like a day case sort of day case unit, so they couldn't come in with me. And they gave me a sheet, and it said at the bottom, probable malignant something. And I obviously know that what that means. So I was sat there and I thought, well, probable. It's not possible. It's probable. So I had to go out and tell Chris and my mum. I think I had a little cry, but I was like, we just got to go down and get the CT scan done. So because we had like something to do straight away, I think it wasn't really like an emotional moment. It was a bit like, right, let's go and do this.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, so
you had your CT scan, but then presumably you had to wait for the results then.
Yeah, so it was a week wait, and I think in that week, I actually came to terms with the fact that, I think this is cancer. I think Chris was a little bit more in denial, obviously to protect, himself. He didn't want to think the worst. But I already knew. So when I sat in the room and they said it's cancer, I I didn't feel upset. I was very much, I'm sure a lot of people will say the same, like, what do we need to do? What
Yeah.
do we need to do then? So
Yeah.
you kind of go, it is
Well,
that
you go
fight
into that sort of fight or flight, don't you?
absolutely, yeah.
And
Yeah, and you
what's the
don't
plan
know.
of action?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you don't know till it happens to you. You're like, you don't know how
Mm,
you're going to react. So when people
mm.
say, you know, you dealt with it really well, like it's not a choice.
No.
You just have to.
Yeah. So when you were then told, what was the plan of action then? And did you know at this point how progressed it was?
No, so they sent me down for a CT scan, and then they obviously saw how big the tumor was.
Mm.
I obviously have I was a bit like I was really naive in the beginning. I don't think I realized how bad it was and
Yeah, I bet.
how massive my cancer was. So basically, they told me that I had an inoperable tumor. It was so big, it was basically filling my pelvic cavity. So it had pushed forward and
Wow.
completely crushed my vaginal canal. So I had
Wow.
and it had grown back right into my spinal nerves.
No
Well,
wonder you were in so much pain.
yeah. So, and I kept getting, by this point, I kept getting admitted to hospital as well because the pain was so bad. And my bowel wasn't working. So the first thing they wanted to do was defunction my bowel, which is giving me a colostomy, which I that's probably been one of the toughest things that I've had to get my head around. But at the time, I was so poorly. I
Yeah.
was just like, do whatever you
Just
need
do
to
whatever you
do.
have to do. And is
Yeah.
that then, excuse my ignorance, but is that a permanent thing then to have a colostomy?
So at the time, it wasn't going to, I didn't know whether it would be or not. So at the
Yeah.
time, they just said, look, we're going to give you a colostomy to try and get you through treatment because all we need to do is try and shrink some of this tumor
Mm.
so that we can operate on it.
And presumably that would help relieve some of the pain as well, because then the
Yeah.
pressure of all that would probably be adding to it all.
Yeah. So,
Wow, right.
and then they found in one of the scans that there was actually a margin, like a canal in between it. So I actually had two tumors. And
Right.
yeah, so that delayed getting me to treatment a bit longer because they needed to work out. It looked very different on the scan. It looked structurally really different. So they thought it was a different type of cancer. So
God.
they were worrying about that. They had to go
Mm.
through the whole biopsy process of the second tumor again. So
Right.
all this time I was just getting progressively more poorly.
And anxious probably, because you
Yeah,
just want to get the show on the road with what is the treatment and get the thing out of me.
exactly. And I
Yeah.
think by then that I realized that the advanced tumors that I had, it was all locally advanced. Luckily, there was a slight scare. They found some things in my liver, but that turned out to be benign tumors,
Oh,
thank
okay.
goodness.
Right.
But yeah, I think it dawned on me then that these tumors were touching so many parts of inside of me. They couldn't remove them, and they couldn't obviously guarantee that the treatment would work enough to shrink them enough to remove
Right.
like some.
Yeah.
So I think that's when I sort of thought I just want to start chemo now. I was skipped into chemo. I couldn't wait.
Really?
I couldn't wait.
Wow. And how quickly then did you go into the chemo?
So it actually took about 10 weeks from diagnosis to, yeah, it was,
That is a
yeah,
long time, isn't it?
because I had my stoma surgery, which I needed to recover from. And then there was all these other, obviously with the biopsy. And like, I just remember the timing was really, the guy that needed to do this specialist biopsy in the area that it was sort of outside of my bowel was not there at the time. So time didn't, I wasn't very lucky in that period of time.
Yeah.
So yeah, it did take a really long time to get me to treatment. That's why by that point I was excited for treatment. I mean, silly me, little did I know. But I was really eager to get just to do something. So I by this point as well, like a golf ball sized lump came up in my groin, so my node literally popped out, and they were like, "We need to get this girl to treatment like ASAP."
Wow.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
chemo came before surgery then, and that was because it was all just too big that they needed to shrink it?
Yeah, so they couldn't do surgery on the tumor because so the two of them, the twins, were just they couldn't operate.
Is that what you call
Kevin and Perry? But they couldn't. They physically could. They were inoperable. So So I had chemo and radiation, and with a lot of bowel cancer, you have a day in the chemo chair, but you also have this little chemo handbag that you carry along with you with the little pump in.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh goodness, I really, really struggled with chemo. I was so poorly. Man. Yeah.
And was it that you took that home with you as well?
Yeah.
You
wear it like a little bag around you, so there's like a bubble, like a balloon inside that gradually gets smaller and smaller. I remember just sitting there watching it, like
desperate. Down. Oh my gosh.
So and I had.
Did it make you sick? Were you sick, or were you weak, or like what was the side effect?
I really struggled with the sickness and the nausea. Like, it was really, really bad. I had to stay in hospital at one point. I was really unwell. So for me it was the sickness. That was the main overriding symptom, the side effect that I had, to be honest with you. But it was really debilitating. I still actually have nausea now, but I think my body's been through so much, it's probably finding its own balance again. But the radiation as well, because of the area that I had it, I got like 3rd degree radiation burns inside my bottom and vagina.
Oh no,
it's a glamorous time.
So I've always wondered that then. So with the radiotherapy, are you sort of like on stirrups and they have to just zap? No,
I don't know. It can differ for whether you're on your front or your back. I was on my front, and so basically, because of the size of my tumor, obviously the field of radiation was quite big, so it also zapped my gynae organs and everything. It was really I always think it's so strange how something that can help you get better can also cause you so many other problems. But I wouldn't have even stood a chance without the radiation. I needed to have that. So
and how much radiation did you need? How many times?
I had 28 fractions, so 28 sessions.
Wow.
It was.
And sitting down and stuff afterwards, was that?
So the burns didn't really happen until I was really lucky in that sense that some people get the burns quite early on. Mine came quite late, so I was able to do. But I remember afterwards, I was laying on the bed and I couldn't put any clothes or underwear on. I was just laying on the bed, and it was just I had a Dyson fan pointed at me. Chris kept coming in like,
oh bless you.
I know,
I can't even imagine how sore that must have been.
Yeah, it was awful. It took about 2 weeks, and then do you know what? It just always amazes me how quickly the human body can heal.
Yeah, it's
crazy.
Yeah,
so I had
mine, because when I had radiation on my chest and in my armpit, it was sore. Just the thought of anybody like hugging me or coming too close, or like if my your skin gets a bit like claggy and like you just don't. You almost want it to be best, and the thought of it being that pain transferred down into that region, I'm like, oh man,
it's obviously really tender down there. So and so one thing a lot of people don't know with pelvic radiation, you have to do dilation of your vagina because your vagina can harden and shrink basically. So you get given these little dilators I know, it was the weirdest thing I've ever experienced. I went into this room and the nurse handed me this box and it had lots of different sized pink tube things, and I was like, what is this? And she said,
that looked like a vibrator.
She actually so she pulled out a vibrator as well, and I was literally like, is someone filming me? Is this like a joke? but the other ones are mainly just, they look like big test tubes, so different size
Okay.
test tubes. And I was thinking, what is going on here? And she explained that you have to do it, otherwise potentially you'll end up with an unusable, unfunctioning vagina. I
Oh
think it's
my
called vaginal
gosh.
stenosis when it hardens.
Right.
Yeah, so this is
Who
one
knew that was a thing?
I know. So basically, everyone who has pelvic radiation probably goes through this. It's just not very, like, not talked about.
Yeah.
So yeah, you have to do that. I mean, it's really invasive, this
Yeah.
pelvic radiation, and you have a lot of organs going on down here. So yeah,
Yeah.
they have to
It's a
lift
lot
your,
more, it just feels like it's just a lot more complicated
yeah,
down
and
there,
you
isn't
have
it?
to also make sure. So I obviously want to keep my bladder, so they make you fill your bladder up to the same amount every day, which can take some going back and forth to the toilet before your radiation session. And it's basically
Oh,
to try and
wow.
lift the bladder out the way a
Yeah.
bit,
Right.
so that the radiation feel
So
like,
that must be an exact science to have to try and,
yeah, I was really lucky that my bladder always had a residual amount, so I didn't have to do.
right.
But you'd see some people in front
Okay.
of me going back and forth,
Oh my God.
drinking water, going to
Having
the
a little bit.
toilet.
Oh
Yeah,
God.
yeah. So these are the things that I didn't know about at all, and you
No,
kind of
gosh,
find
you
them out as
wouldn't.
you go along. But yeah.
Wow. It is absolutely fascinating. So radiation finished. So we're in 2020 now, or still 2019?
Still 2019, yeah.
And then it was surgery, wasn't it?
So basically, it was quite miraculous in this. My cancer responded so well to my chemo and radiation.
The
Yeah,
twins.
the twins, that
Yeah.
it was almost gone. Like, it was literally, I know. So
What?
I have to, I did lots of things, and I'm not saying that I'm a science girl in the sense of that's what saved me, the chemo radiation. But I also did, like, I did my diet, like, properly looked at books of how can I support my body through this. So I was so strict with my diet. I took supplements. I took
Mm,
magic oil. I took everything. So
wow.
my team were like, this is beyond what we ever imagined. So
Yeah.
we got rid of the bulk of the tumor, and
Yeah.
actually with radiation, it sometimes takes time to see whether it's the, like, scar, like dead cancer cells, whether
Right.
it's the cancer dying, whether the
Yeah.
light up on the screen is actually
Yeah.
live cancer or not.
Right.
So I had a bit more chemo, and they said that the next scans, they were hopeful that, maybe I would reach the point of no evidence of disease and could even look to get my stoma reversed. They were always a little bit guarded about saying it, but I think we were all in shock just as to
Yeah.
how well my cancer had responded. So then we got to the next scan, and unfortunately, it had already grown. My cancer had already started growing back a little bit higher up. So
Oh.
yeah, um, within 3 months of my treatment
So
finishing.
was that the same cancer that was growing back?
It was not the original tumor, but it was
Right.
just obviously
Like
a
an
mistake.
off cut from it.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So it was in
Right.
a slightly higher place, but yeah. So
That
then
must
it
have
was,
felt really crap. That you've gone through
yeah,
all that and you potentially had all that good news.
yeah,
But then presumably you were still in a good place in that this one you will have found it earlier, so they
yeah.
could surgery that, they could remove it.
Well, the thing is, so what happens then is that it's classed as recurrent cancer, and it's a bit more complex than just, that I couldn't have any more radiation. I had the maximum amount that's
Yeah.
allowed on that area. And obviously, it had come back within 3 months of me stopping treatment. So my team had a chat, and because of how much of my pelvic organs the initial tumor had touched, the only real option was to get rid of everything that the tumor had touched. So
Is that because if the tumour's touched it, there's a chance that that cancer could then go into your vagina or into other organs that it's touched, and that it could potentially spread there? Is that why?
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
it's just a chance that there are microscopic parts
Yeah.
still there that they can't see. And
Right.
also there was in the rescan where my cancer recurred, I think there was some in my uterus. So it had kind of spread its wings in that 3 months. So it was more aggressive the second time round, if that makes
Right.
sense.
Yeah. Yeah. I get it.
So it was obviously a case of dealing with this
Wow.
recurrent cancer that was moving a bit faster and spreading. And also because they wanted to make sure it wasn't, so he explained it to me like, if you drop glitter with stage 4 cancer, if you drop glitter, you think you've got it all, and there might be a microscopic bit of glitter a little bit further away than what that's naked to the human eye. And so basically that's how they explained it to me, because I was like, okay, what do we do now? And when they told me about the surgery I needed, I was literally just horrified.
So when I read that was the surgery that you had done, I just thought, like when you're writing a text or something, and predictive text like sometimes like shoves extra words in.
Yeah.
I'm like, something's gone wrong with what they're writing, because I'm not sure that there's very much of her left if you take all those things out.
Yeah.
Was it 13 hours, the operation?
I think just over 12 hours. Yeah, just over 12 hours. So I'd never heard of it before, but weirdly I'd met my friend Alex at a cancer party, and she told me about the surgery that she'd had, and I was literally, my mouth just dropped to the floor. I was literally like, what? And then little did I know that 2 weeks later that
wow.
so it's called a pelvic exenteration. There are different variations of it. My one, so they removed my ovaries, fallopian tube, uterus, cervix, vagina, rectum, anus, 4 spinal nerves. So they did a sacral resection, so at the bottom of my spine, my left piriformis muscle, and I also by that point had a little tumor, a bit of cancer in my left ureter, so the tube from your kidney to your bladder.
Right.
So they had to cut that out and then stretch the tube and reimplant it into my bladder.
Right.
So yeah, that's it.
So an enormous operation. And did they test then all those organs and everything they took out? Did they test them to find out if there were bits of glitter on them, or they couldn't tell? Would it be too microscopic potentially at that stage?
So they sent it away because they need to check that they got good margins from what they've taken out. And I think there were some areas that were clear, and there were some like the uterus and the cervix that had it in. They also my pelvic sidewall bone as well. They had to scrape that out.
Right. Gosh,
so there was a lot. Yeah.
But the fact that they found those traces, it must make you feel like it was the right decision to go through with that such major surgery.
Yeah. It was that, and also with my advanced and recurrent cancer, I think most people don't make it to 8 months without having that surgery.
Right.
And I know that everyone's different and we're not statistics, but like obviously looking at statistics, I wouldn't. It was growing very rapidly. It had spread to my kidney tube.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't think I would have stood much chance.
Think no. So then, if they take all that amount of stuff out, surely they have to put something in its place, do they?
Well, no, I'm not sure about every person. I can only speak for myself, but no, they don't. I have empty pelvis. There is, I think, a thing called empty pelvis syndrome. Basically, after surgery, I've been readmitted so many times, but one of them was with a bowel obstruction, and it's because my small intestines have sunk into empty pelvis.
Because they're just floating around and there's so much
Yeah.
more room in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, if you've got a stack of Jenga, you know, you start taking some of those bits down,
Yeah,
the old running
and
knot's going to come down if you're not going to. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, law of physics is that you'd have to like anyway, they obviously
Yeah.
know what they're doing.
Yeah.
So you've been through that ridiculous major surgery. So now where are you at?
So what, right now?
Or, no, like what happened after that?
I say, so
Yeah.
basically, after the surgery, so with my particular one, when they take your rectum and anus out, so the worst part for me has been like from the vagina around your perineum to your anus, it's just all cut out and then like cut through, and then they have to sort of piece it back together.
Right.
They took part of my right buttock and reconstructed what's called a neo-vagina. So it's I don't even know what to call it. Yeah, a vagina that's not really my vagina, but they've sort of made the effort to make, because I'm young, you know, for
Right.
this. So
Yeah.
I think they want to do it so that you have, I guess, sexual function, because it obviously doesn't lead anywhere anymore. I can't have a child anymore. They've taken that away. So yeah, they reconstructed that, but where they've sort of they cover over your bottom and piece it all together. So after, the recovery's quite intense. You can't lay on your back. You get rolled from side to side by the nurses until you can do it yourself. I had to like relearn to walk again on these big sort of weird spaceship looking walking frames, because they took 4 of my spinal nerves out and a stabilizing muscle from that side. It was a long process of, actually my surgeon came to check the next day to see if I had foot drop, which is highly likely.
Right. Okay.
But I didn't, and I was a dancer before this, so I was really worrying about my mobility.
Yeah.
But I'm walking now without a stick. So it took a few months. I was walking with a frame, and then I walked with a stick until probably just before Christmas. But I'm walking without a stick now, so that's really good.
Wow. And does it feel, when you walk now, does it feel different to how you felt before, or do you feel sort of back to normal with your mobility?
Mobility wise, not really back to normal. So it feels like heavier on my left side, and it gets weak, so I can't walk every day. If I do like a big walk around the park, I probably would feel it the next day, so I can't do it.
Okay.
But I'm trying to build my strength. I think the fact that I was a dancer before has actually,
that's got to help.
Yeah, I feel like there's some muscle memory going on there.
Yeah. And also the flexibility, that's got to help as well, you know, having supple joints. And you touched briefly on the fact that obviously when they took your uterus and everything, that it was obviously taken away your ability to have kids. I mean, that's just, to me, there's just the absolute unthinkable. Where are you at sort of mentally with that? You've had so much to deal with that it's like, you know, kick a girl when she's down, and then that as well. Is that something that you've come to terms with, or where are you at?
I think it's going to be an ongoing thing. So I feel like I was at the age where it was, you know, for me, the time to think about having children, and I didn't have time to harvest eggs. I was too poorly. There was so many complications leading up to my treatment, so I didn't get that chance. But I guess in the first year, I'd heard of some people who'd had ovarian cancer who couldn't use their eggs but could still grow and birth their children because of the, you know. So I think I readjusted my expectations and had hope in my heart that I'd still be able to carry a child. So when they said they were going to take my uterus along with everything else, I was devastated. I was really, really devastated. You know, even a couple of months ago, I couldn't have talked about this without getting emotional. But what I think it's going to be is, it's going to be cyclical, because when I see people announcing their pregnancies, or they're having their first scan, hearing their baby, you know, oh, I've heard my baby's heartbeat, that's when it hits you that you're never going to experience that. And I think that's really, really tough. It's really tough. Infertility is tough whether you've had a child before or not. But for me, like, I don't have a baby, and I wanted to be a mum, so it is really hard. And my heart goes out to everyone who has this taken away from them because of their cancer treatment, because it's definitely the biggest thing. Like you say, I've got quite a lot to process and to be okay with, but that really broke my heart, I have to admit. Yeah, it's really tough. And it's good to talk about it, because there's a lot of people in this boat, you know, and they're too scared to talk about it.
Absolutely. And I think talking definitely helps, doesn't it? And being able to share that will help so many people. So what happened then after your after that surgery? So you had the recurrence.
Yeah, so actually before the surgery I missed out. So because of coronavirus, the complex cancer surgery got cancelled at quite a lot of hospitals, because their ICUs, because obviously I had to go to intensive care afterwards.
Of course, their
intensive cares were very full of COVID patients. So my amazing hospital, St Mark's, weren't able to do their complex cancer surgeries from there, so they had to look to do it at other clinics and private hospitals. But obviously there was like a bit of a delay going on for everyone, as you know. Cancer treatment kind of was like, well, they're going to die anyway, so leave them. So actually I had to wait quite a few months for my surgery, but I had some chemo in the meantime, which was really great, because I don't think I would have been eligible to have my surgery if it hadn't been for the chemo, because of the weight.
Really?
Yeah, my cancer, it had already grown. Even with chemo, it had gone to my ureter. So I imagine if I hadn't had any treatment, because a lot of people weren't getting chemo through COVID. So I have to say I really am lucky. My hospital really pushed, my oncologist really pushed for me to have it, and I'm glad, because I was still, by the August, allowed to have my surgery. And so many people, even though it's like the surgery you never want, what's worse than having it is being told that your cancer's too far gone, we can't do it. So
absolutely.
So I had my chemo then my surgery, and then the recovery is really long. I'm still, obviously I've got quite a lot of issues that I'm left with, that maybe some will be for life, maybe they won't, but
you don't know, you're still sort of learning that.
So I got home, I got discharged after a month, and I was blue lighted back in that day with sepsis.
No.
I know. It was quite unfortunate, but all the complications I had are actually really normal. Like, you can't have that much taken out of you without there be no complications. Like, people were saying, oh, you know, it's been a really unlucky recovery, and it's like, I just think it's normal. I think it's normal when you have. I was cut from belly button right round to the back and opened up. Like, of course, there's going to be issues.
You just seem so like accepting of everything, and so like calm about it, and like it just amazes me how you keep smiling. I'm sure you have days where you lose your shit. I'm sure you do.
I do. Do you know what? It's really important as well. Like, on my account, I try to be really honest with my struggles as well, because you know, I'm a human being, and I've had something pretty extreme happen to me. I've had to grieve for a lot, and I have done that. I've had days where I've like cried for 2 days because of, you know, the life that I've lost, you know, the future I thought I was going to have. And also with this, you know, with cancer, the cloud is always above you of whether it's going to come back. With stage 4, obviously, and cancer that's already come back once, that's also like a big thing. So it's like a juggle between, I'm grieving for this stuff, and I'm trying to come to terms with my new body, but also I want to live every single day and make the most of it, because I don't know if it's going to come back. You know, my friend who had my really close friend who had my surgery a year ahead of me, her cancer came back after a year and she passed away in January. And that's, again, it's like, you know, that her story was like my story, and what she did in the meantime was live every single day. Like, she made the most of it where she could. So it is that balance, and I'm sure you've been there as well, where you're grieving and you're feeling all these sad emotions, but at the same time you're so grateful. And I never knew it was possible to feel gratitude and sadness at the same time until I had cancer. It's
absolutely.
kind of, it messes with your mind.
It does, but it definitely does drive you to the deepest despair, but also the most optimism in the world, because it makes you want to live every day to the complete fullest. So after all your surgeries and treatments and everything, are you now having like ongoing treatments?
No, so I've actually I've reached, they won't say a cure, they won't say I'm cured, they won't say that. So I've reached a point of no evidence of disease. So that as it stands at the moment in my body, they can't see any cancer, and they're going to be just keeping an eye on that over the next, I think every 3 months I'll have a scan and a blood test it more regularly to keep an eye. But yeah, I have to say we've reached a point that I don't think we
never
ever thought we
you
were
were
going
about
to
to
see.
reach.
I got no evidence of disease, and you know, my dear friend who we lost, I'm aware that she also reached no evidence of disease. So it doesn't mean the end of things for people with stage 4 recurrent cancer. But I just feel like, I actually feel like it's miraculous. Like, I know we always talk about miracles, but I'm like, we have reached this amazing point that we never thought we'd see. And
Absolutely. What I don't understand is how can you have no evidence of the disease, but they say that you're stage 4? Do they grade it at stage 4 because of the amount of organs that were affected? Is that why?
Yeah, so stage 4 is when it's spread.
It's spread away from the bowel.
Yeah, so it's in other organs, not just the bowel. So stage 4, it doesn't always mean I need to be careful because I'm not medical. So stage 4 is, with my understanding, doesn't necessarily always mean that it's incurable. It doesn't necessarily mean that. From my own cancer's point of view, so I think with stage 4 bowel cancer, I think 10 or 20%, I should know this, get to 5 years. With so it's obviously statistically stage 4 are more likely to get their cancer back and die from it, but it's very, very dependent on the person. All my cancer was locally advanced, so it was stage 4. It spread away from the bowel. Luckily it wasn't in my lung, it wasn't in my liver. So
and you obviously respond really well to the treatment.
Yeah, and that's a really good point, because some people will absolutely get hammered with chemo, and I've got friends that have passed away in the last couple of years who they tried just as hard as me.
Of course. Nobody's lost that. Totally.
And the thing is, it's just that their cancer did not respond to treatment, and they couldn't have tried harder. And so that's the thing with cancer, is it's so individual, and it's so, people think that there actually isn't a rhyme or reason. Sometimes there is, but with some cancer, they're just rogue, aren't they? And there's all these, you know, genetic mutations and whatnot. And I was just very, very lucky. You know, people think I'm not lucky because of, I mean, the surgeries left me with so many issues, more issues than Vogue, Chris says. But but actually I'm very, very lucky, because when I spoke to my surgeon a couple of weeks ago and I said about my prognosis, and he said, you know, if we get to 2 years, we can relax a bit. But you know that most people with your cancer don't actually even get to your surgery, get to have the surgery. And it was sobering, but I actually thought, this is amazing. like,
Well,
look at what
yeah,
we've achieved, you
yeah,
know.
because if you've got this far, how much
Then
further can you get?
that's
You
it.
know,
And that's where you have to think, you know, although you've seen people go, you know, with their stories and not all of them end well, you have to just concentrate on your own story. It's
yeah,
easy to
yeah,
get
you
sucked
do.
into, oh my God, it's going to come back. Oh my goodness. And actually, I try as much as I can just to not have those thoughts. When I have those
Yeah,
thoughts, I focus back on the present. And I've been
yeah,
working with a really amazing guy, and all I've had my bad days, but I feel like actually now they're fewer and fewer because he just
amazing.
keeps reminding me, come, all we have is now. All any of us have is now. We could all,
Yeah,
you know, worry about the future, but our
yeah,
anxiety comes from whether we're looking back and regretting or feeling sad, or looking
or
forward and
scared.
worrying. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so
So is that a counsellor that you're seeing? Is
yeah,
it a
he's a
counsellor or yeah,
counselor. He's a kind of spiritual. He's a shaman actually, or shaman, however you
yeah?
say it. But yeah, he's really
And it's really helped you.
so much. And also,
Mm.
he's helped me with the biggest thing is, that a lot of us have, especially with this surgery that I've had, is he's really helped me understand that we are not our bodies. We are not what we look like. And that's been a hard one for me to get my head around. My whole job as a
Yeah,
dancer was my body. But it's about shedding this like sadness about what I look like now, and
right.
you know, coming to terms with my body does look like this now under my clothing, but it absolutely hasn't detracted anything from the person that I am. And
That's
it is,
so powerful, isn't it?
yeah, it is, and it is hard. It's easy to
Yeah,
say and it's hard to do, but I feel like it, I am getting there. Not every day. Last
yeah,
week I had a couple of days where I felt really sad and really,
yeah,
you know, oh, how am I
yeah,
supposed to come to terms with this?
yeah,
But I'm really able to get out of that quickly now rather
yeah,
than sitting in it.
yeah,
Um,
absolutely. And what's your mission now? Like mission to remission, obviously, love the name. So what is your account about? Like why did you choose to do that?
so for me, at first, I felt really alone, as I'm sure
Mm,
you'll understand. You get this diagnosis, and also I was at the cancer at hospital with loads of elderly people around me.
yeah,
I couldn't
yeah,
relate to any of that. Obviously, it's still awful getting cancer, but cancer as a younger woman, you know, like we said
yeah.
earlier, it takes, you know, I was menopausal at 36. I've lost my chance of having children. So I wanted to find people that I could relate to, not to
Mm,
like swim in misery and sadness, but
yeah,
to actually be empowered and be like, oh
yeah,
wow, look at her. Like the one of the first people that I followed was Bowel Babe Deborah,
yeah. I know, Debs.
living with incurable cancer, and I thought, you know,
Wow.
she's not like miserable and depressing. It's actually empowering to you choose who you follow and who you
Yeah.
spend your energy on, and it can actually
Mm,
be talking about cancer. Doesn't have to be, people say now like, why are you still talking about cancer so much? Because it's a big part of my life, but also it's
yeah,
not depressing. It just, it is what it is. And
yeah.
actually, by we all understand each other even with different cancers.
Oh,
We all have that
absolutely.
understanding, like
Yeah,
that
yeah,
unspoken thing where I get it, like I
yeah.
might not get everything that you've been
Mm,
through, but I
mm,
understand, and I understand that feeling of feeling
yeah,
really alone, even if you've got so
yeah,
much love around you and so many
yeah.
friends. It's a lonely place, isn't it, cancer?
It
So
it it really is. And actually, like you hit the nail on the head. The community on social is just been amazing, and it helped me get through it. And I know, you'll be doing the same with yours. And it's just in a way as well, for me, it makes me feel like something positive is coming out of something so shitty that happened,
yeah,
and
yeah,
we've spoken today, and we're not dwelling on anything, but we're sharing a story which will
yeah.
undoubtedly help others.
And I'm really passionate as well that I want people to know that going through this surgery doesn't mean the end of your life. It's a very, very different life now, but there is life after it. And I know that, oh, Can you hear me? Is it me or you? I don't know.
Bones? Can only...
Oh, I heard you then.
Oh, I can hear you now. Can hear you.
Yay.
Yeah.
I really want
Yeah,
to I really want people to know that, so a lot of people choose to not have this surgery, and I understand why. Like so I've been part of like an advisory board at the moment to hopefully help future patients going through pelvic exenteration. And a lot of people choose not to have this surgery and just, let the
nature take its course.
Yeah.
Right.
And it is hard to adjust. I have had really sad days, but there's life after it. And you know what? I always say it's really cheesy. I was watching the sunset and I thought, this is just as beautiful whether I'm pooing in a bag.
Yeah.
So beautiful, I can still enjoy it. Oh, and it happened again.
Happen again. I'm sorry. Yeah, exactly. So do you basically live with a stoma now?
Yeah, so I've got a stoma. I just have one. Some people who have exenteration have two. I'm really lucky. My surgeon knew how I wanted to save my bladder so I wouldn't have the ureterectomy. So they painstakingly took that tumor out of my ureter. Like, my surgeon is literally a dream. Like, he's actually like super fit as well. But yeah, he's so lovely. But like they knew I really, really wanted to try and come away with just one bag. And I'm so grateful to them. They did that with my bladder. But yeah, some people live with two bags. I have one bag of colostomy. So it's a portion of my large bowel is brought out so you can see the pink intestine. A lot of people don't realise that. And then so I have a bag around it that collects the waste, poo. And
it's enough to change, isn't it? I follow Bag of Life. I don't know.
Bag Life of Beck.
Yeah, Bad Life of Beck.
Yeah.
I with her the other week, and it's
Love
so
her.
interesting.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't know that she had it, and you can live, you can live day to day, and people not know about it. And
yeah, I have to say this has as well as the fertility, like not being a mum, the bag has been a really big thing for me to get my head around. Yeah, I was really low, really depressed about having a bag when I found out that it was permanent. The first year when I knew that it could be reversed, I was like, brilliant, whatever. Now, when I found out they needed to remove my anus, obviously if you haven't got an anus, that bag's permanent, So they call it a Barbie butt because you know how Barbies don't have bum holes. I know.
You change your Instagram handle saying I've got a Barbie butt. I've never heard that. Is it's just hilarious.
But yeah, so when I found out that it was going to be permanent, bow babe, hello. So when I found out it was going to be permanent, I actually said I was really low when they first told me about the surgery, what they needed to do, that they had to take my vagina and my bum and everything, and I actually cried and said, I wish you'd never saved me. I wish you'd never saved me. Yeah. Luckily, it was just that initial heartbreak.
Yeah.
And I got over that quickly, and I found my fight again, and I was like, let's do this. But yeah, when it has been a really big thing.
Write a book about it. It is absolutely, it's fascinating, but in the same breath, it's just so inspiring that you've just been dealt this enormous plate, and that you are still here like the rest of us, just talking and I think from other people looking in, I think we're just all massively in awe of you. I know that you haven't had a choice, and you very much see it that this is the card I've been dealt, and I've just dealt with it the only way that I've known how to.
Yeah.
But it really is so amazing.
Feel like as well, I'm not, I don't have any aims. I'm in a predicament with, not a predicament, but I want to use my account for good to help people. But, you know, I do also want to move forward as well and live my
Yeah.
life. So it's not all about cancer. But
What
I
other
think,
on there then?
sorry.
What other things do you do on there? Is it dance? No.
Well, I haven't. I really want to get back to dance. This is one of my goals because obviously at the moment, so I think I actually have a blue badge. So this, obviously I had the bottom of my spine basically cut off. So at the moment, walking is a challenge,
Yeah.
but I really have. I feel like you know, when you've kind of you've surpassed the odds. So you think,
Yeah.
right, well, I've done that, so I'm going to do this. So I really love to get back to dancing. I want to do something. I'm unsure at the moment because this is, you know, a point I never thought I'd get to. So I'm almost like, you know, and you're like, what? I actually wrote on a piece of paper, what do I do now? And I'm trying, you know, because I'm not the same person
Yeah.
physically,
And
mentally. I want to do something meaningful to me, hopefully to help others, but also something I'm physically able to do. So at the moment, so I have my stoma bag. I have to self-catheterize every day. So my bladder, it has nerve damage from the surgery, and
right.
I've had some kidney issues. I had hydronephrosis, which is just swelling of the kidneys, but unresolved that can cause kidney damage. So I'm actually having some kidney tests again on Thursday at hospital. So we're managing those, but it's quite a lot to manage every day with my
Yeah.
mobility, self-catheterizing,
Yeah.
my stoma bag, and quite a fair bit of pain, obviously, where they've cut things around and about. So I want to find something I'm physically able to do as well. So it feels kind of pressured, but also exciting. So I don't know what.
You must sort of feel a little bit invincible in that if you've come this far, like what else could I do? I mean, look at Bowel Babe. I look at her daily and think, I just don't know how you are cartwheeling around
I
still.
know.
You know, it
I
is.
saw her earlier dancing with the chemo
I,
pump attached. So I'm like, that's what I'm talking about. You know,
I saw you doing some very gentle, like ballet moves.
yeah.
One of the nurses.
Yeah, so that was 10 days after my exenteration. I have to admit I did worry that I felt like everything
I,
left in me was gonna fall out. Not that there's much left. But yeah, so we did a little bit of ballet and
yeah.
I
Oh,
really want to yeah, I don't know where things are gonna take me, but I'm very much at the moment just like taking things day by day.
yeah.
Of course, I'm having bad days. Like I say, I am very transparent on my page that that cancer isn't easy. We all have our, you know, especially I have to say the legacy of the surgery I've had. Of course, I'm gonna have days where I feel
Yeah,
a
cool.
little bit down, you
Yeah.
know. But yeah, I don't know where life's gonna take me. I'm excited, but also just what did you say? I was high on steroids. Now I'm eating chips, Balvo.
Yeah.
But like, you know, I just want to carry on um living. It's hard to live your best life in lockdown, I know, but
Mm.
I just want to just enjoy my day, spend the days doing things I like doing. I'm so thrilled that I can go walking now, and I know people who've had my surgery who can't. So I am in a position. You always have to adjust your expectations. Like 2 years ago, if I said, oh, I'm thrilled that I've gone for a wee without using a catheter and I'm thrilled to walk around Victoria Park, I'd have been like, what are you on about? But you adjust your
Yeah.
expectations and you have to take the wins, take the little wins,
Yeah.
whatever they are. And the
Yeah.
little wins are actually big wins, aren't they? You know?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, listen, I won't take up any more of your time. And you've just like I'm just in awe at everybody else on here. And thank you so much for just being so um honest and really giving with your story, and I know it will help so many people. And
Thank you for having me. It's
no,
been so nice.
thank you. And you know, it's really important that everybody on here spreads the word that, you know, bottoms matter.
Yes.
And know your poo, you know, it's not just about boobs. I know I bang on about boobs all the time. It really is your bums as well, and everything in between. And do definitely give Nat a follow. It's mission to remission. Yeah, you're incredible. Let's keep in touch. I'd love to get
And thanks to everyone who, I can see so many people have said hello. It's so lovely. So much love.
Wonderful. So nice to have everybody on here. All the best. Have a lovely evening.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.